So much has happened this week in Star Wars gaming, from a small Star Wars Eclipse update to both KOTOR games being free to download. There is so much more to get into in this video, but before we do dive into all of it, make sure you do subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any future Star Wars gaming news updates. So welcome back to another episode of This Week in Star Wars Gaming, the new show where I round up everything that happened in Star Wars games in the past week or so. These are either important or interesting news stories that don't warrant a full dedicated video because they simply can be covered in just a few seconds, and you could not pay me to drag out a video. This week saw a lot of little bits all build up, and there is some really interesting bits in here that I have discovered myself, and I want to share everything with you. I'm going to start with Star Wars Outlaws because that is the current ongoing Star Wars game, and it's some details about the next DLC. So, as you are aware, the team working on Star Wars Outlaws are currently developing a second DLC featuring Hondo. It's called Of Pirate's Fortune, and it will be out in spring 2025. As we near spring, many fans have been wondering, when is it going to actually come out? We haven't heard anything from Ubisoft in a little bit. I was getting restless, I wanted news, and I did notice that a few days ago, the team did upload a new depot to the game's backend in the Steam database, and it's a DLC depot. Now, the only other DLC depot the game has is Wildcard, the first DLC. All of the skins and such aren't actual DLC depots, they are just other packages. So this leads me to believe that this unnamed DLC depot is indeed a Pirate's Fortune. Does this mean the DLC is coming anytime soon? I don't know, because the Wildcard DLC depot appeared on release day, and a Pirate's Fortune isn't out, so if I had to guess, they are getting closer and closer to this coming out. I could see it release around the time of Star Wars Celebration, so mid-April. The reason being, it just makes great marketing sense to release it around that time if it is ready, or at least have, say, a trailer announcing the release date and showing gameplay and such. Sticking with Outlaws still, there are a few other little bits of information I wanted to share with you. So I was listening into the Ubisoft call they had with investors last week, and they said that sales did actually improve for Star Wars Outlaws during the holiday season, but didn't actually meet Ubisoft's expectations. That is unfortunate, but who knows what those expectations are. They do say that the general response from the people that are playing the game, that have picked it up since launch and even more recently, has been good, and they expect it to be a long-term seller because word of mouth is going to be picking it up. In terms of pre-orders, we actually have some figures, so this is coming from Insider Gaming, who are pretty reputable. So they say that Assassin's Creed Shadows currently has around 300,000 pre-orders, and Outlaws actually had less than half of that, so less than 150,000, which is pretty low for a Star Wars game. That just shows you how little pre-orders there was before the game came out, which is quite unfortunate. But thankfully, it has picked up since then, especially since Christmas. Let's now turn our attention to a future Star Wars game that will be coming out, hopefully, and that is Star Wars Eclipse. So it was announced a few years ago now, and since then we've not heard much at all, aside from a couple of interviews and very light details from them. Now, some people will be wondering, is this game still in development? And the answer is yes, and I can prove it to you. Over the past few weeks and months, they have hired a fair amount of people, which I have seen on LinkedIn posts that they are now working on Star Wars Eclipse, including a new writer that has joined the writing team, and this is Devin Doyle, who previously wrote on Divinity 2, and he is a writer on Star Wars Eclipse. Also, last month, I did notice a job listing appear for the Star Wars Eclipse team that was a short to medium-term role for scheduled filming planned at Quantic Dream in Paris for Star Wars Eclipse. So they are actively filming motion capture, I'd imagine, for Star Wars Eclipse right now. Over the past few days, NetEase, a Chinese game publisher, has had a lot of layoffs, basically gutting the entirety of the Marvel Rivals team based in the US, and they are basically scaling back all of the outside of China businesses and stuff like that, and they bought Quantic Dream for about $100 million a few years ago. Does this have any impact on Star Wars Eclipse? I'm sure it has to have something, right? It's not good. If I had to guess, because it's a game that's currently in development, they will maybe see it out, or they may look to change how things are. I don't know. It's very strange. Of course, that's just all speculation. It remains to be seen how NetEase scaling back their abroad stuff will impact Eclipse, given that it's all being made out of Paris and Montreal. Onto some Star Wars games that you can play right now for free, and that is Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. So as of late last night, the games are now free to download on the Epic Games Store for mobile. So this is pretty cool because you have to actually purchase them with real money, typically on mobile. They've been out for a few years now, these ports that have been done by a spy that people do quite like. But if you download the Epic Games Store onto your Android or iOS device, depending on your regions, it's only available on iOS in the European Union, UK later this year. But if you just add them to your Epic account, when it does become available in your region, you'll be able to check out both of these games on your mobile device. So that's pretty cool. What I'm showing you on screen is just how easy and quick it is to download the Epic Game Store for mobile on Android. You just go to the website, download the APK, sign in with your Epic Games account, and once it's all installed, you can then simply select KOTOR 1 and 2, add them to your library, and start downloading them. They are big in size, they're about like 5 gig or something like that, which is quite big for a mobile game, but if you've got the storage and whatnot, it's fun. It's a free Star Wars game, a big Star Wars game, 2 big Star Wars games in fact, to have in the palms of your hands, so I think that is pretty cool. This offer is available for an entire month, so you have until March 20th to claim these, so that gives you plenty of time. Just remember to do this before it does expire, and you will keep these forever. So once you claim them, you keep them forever as long as you have your Epic Games account. After that, you will have to pay, obviously, just like before on either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, but Epic are paying up the money for you to get them for free this time. This week, Star Wars Jedi Survivor was added to the PlayStation game catalogue, so if you do subscribe to the PlayStation Plus subscription at either the premium or extra tiers, you can now play Jedi Survivor on your PS5 for free, as long as you have an active membership. The PS4 version was also just recently added to the EA Play list, so if you do subscribe to EA Play and you want to play the PS4 version of the game, you can now do that. The Xbox One and PC version has been on there for a bit now. On to merch now, and there is quite a variety to get into. So let's start with something that did just get announced literally late last night. So this is the physical copies of the Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles re-release that came out last month. I did cover it, and it will have a physical copy. I know people have been asking me, is it going to happen? And I said just wait a few weeks or months, and here we are. So it comes in just the standard version of the game. You can buy it for Xbox, Switch, or PlayStation. So if you just want a physical copy in the form of a disc or cart, you can do that. Or if you want the premium edition, you can do that. It's a little bit more expensive. And it comes with the game, of course. There is also a PC version, but it's on a USB stick. This comes in a collector's box, and inside you get a poster, a metal Obi-Wan figure, a deployable B1 battle droid pin, a droidica coin, and a numbered certificate of authenticity. You have from now until March 23rd to pre-order it. Now, I just want to go on a quick rant for a moment because it has literally just been a few weeks since the release of Jedi Power Battles, and we already know of a physical edition and you can pre-order it. However, it is a year to this day that the Battlefront Classic Collection was announced, and then it was launched a couple of weeks later, and we still have not got a physical copy. Now, I'm sure the reason why it's because of the huge backlash the game had, how awful it was, but even so, as someone who was very unhappy with that re-release, I would have paid more money to buy another copy just to get a cool collector's box of the classic games with cool stuff like this Episode 1 Power Battles one. You know, I've not purchased any of these other Star Wars game collectors re-releases because I've just not been super keen. They are quite expensive for what they are, but ultimately the Battlefront games were what made my childhood, so I wanted to support them by buying a physical copy of cool stuff. But nope, we don't have any of that. And yet, the Bounty Hunter got a re-release, and that came out in August last year. Dark Forces Remaster came out in February and had one. And, it's just disappointing, honestly. I can see why they would have cancelled it if they even were going to have one, but still, they would have made a lot more money doing a Battlefront re-release, even though everyone hates the Classic Collection, basically. Next up, we have more leaks for upcoming Black Series figures from Jedi Survivor. And yes, it's another Merrin leak, so any day now we will get Merrin announced, I'm sure, because most of her clothes have now leaked from the same 501st Set account on Twitter. And if you remember in a previous Jedi Survivor video, I showcased that a new Cal body had leaked with trousers and stuff, and now we have a brand new jacket. Well, yeah, it's Cal. It's Cal using the Han Solo outfit from Survivor, which is such a weird and stupid idea in my opinion. Why? Of all the awesome outfits in Jedi Survivor, they decided to pick Han Solo's. That's so disappointing. No doubt this is going to be a double pack. You get an alternative outfit of Cal and Merrin, but not a cool Cal. I don't know. It's stupid. Let's take a look at a new statue that got announced this week. So this is the Jedi Revan statue from Diamond Select Toys. This is taken from the Old Republic MMO and it looks pretty cool. It comes in at $80 and pre-orders are going live today and you'll be able to get it from Gentle Giant. Funko also announced their latest Star Wars Funko Pop and it is The Force Unleashed 2 Starkiller. So this is available to pre-order right now from GameStop. It's a GameStop exclusive and it will release on April 5th. I think this looks really cool. He's in that iconic pose from The Force Unleashed 2 and I think people will be pretty happy with it. Speaking of The Force Unleashed 2, the re-release of the Legends novel, that was a tie-in for the game, has just re-released, so you can now purchase this new reprint with this cool-looking cover from various retailers, and that's pretty cool. Now for some new stars that have made its way to Star Wars Unlimited, the card game that I've showcased on my channel a few times. There is a couple of new Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Squadrons cards, so we have a third Iden card, I believe, or fourth Iden card, I can't quite remember, the Corvus, which is Inferno Squad's ship, and then we have Frisk, who is one of the characters from Star Wars Squadron, so that is pretty cool. On to content updates for Star Wars games right now, and we have Jocasta Nu, who is in her Conquest attire, coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. This one has kicked up quite the storm on social media. People are losing their minds over this image with her holding this blaster. This is actually canon. It's from one of the Vader comics and she uses it. It's powered by lightsabers, of all things, you put in the hilts, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Wrecker is the latest hero to be also added to Galaxy of Heroes, so you can now play as Wrecker as seen in his mercenary attire from Season 3 of The Bad Batch. Keeping with the Bad Batch theme here, from now until the end of the month, the Bad Batch event is live in LEGO Star Wars Castaways, so if you want to unlock the Bad Batch bunch and all kinds of other themed cosmetics, and take part in that event, you can do it until the end of the month. We've also got a few anniversaries to take a look at this week, so it was 7 years since a new update released to Battlefront 2 that featured Jetpack Cargo, that limited time game mode, alongside Hoth hero appearances, more arcade maps, and more. It has also been 9 years since the February 2016 update for Star Wars Battlefront release, and this included the iconic Twilight on Hoth map and Princess Leia's Endor skin. Star Wars Hunters was also announced 4 years ago at Nintendo Direct, and thankfully it finally released last year worldwide, and Season 5 is very much underway, and I am very much looking forward to hopefully getting that PC release soon. Empire at War also celebrated its 19th anniversary, which is crazy. It released in 2006, and many people still play it to this day, and it actually got an update at the end of last year. 2 updates in 2 years, which is kind of insane. Racer Revenge released this week in 2002. Meanwhile, Star Wars Starfighter released this week in 2001. The legendary X-Wing game released all the way back in 1993 this week. And a big celebration to Dark Forces. It released 30 years ago this week, which is quite incredible. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the pieces of Star Wars gaming news that you found most interesting, so please do let me know down in the comment section below, and remember to drop a like to help support the channel, subscribe so you don't miss any future news updates on Star Wars gaming, and if you did miss any of my previous videos, click on the playlist on screen right now, and I shall see you in my next video. Goodbye.